Hey, what's going on, everyone? Joker here. Today, I just wanted to make a quick video discussing some of the questionable things that DICE and EA have decided to ban from the text chat of Battlefield 5 on the PC. I don't think consoles has text chat, but on the PC, we've always had text chat, and they are now taking it a step further by, rather than just banning things like curse words or racist words, which are understandable if you're typing a very blatant racist word, like the N-word, for instance. That has no place in the game. It should absolutely not, it doesn't need to be said into the chat. People that type that should probably get kicked or temporarily banned or something like that. When I used to run Battlefield servers back on Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, we had things in place so people couldn't do that kind of stuff because it doesn't add anything to the gameplay. You're meant to use the text chat to communicate things or, say GG at the end of the game, what have you. But this whole thing with what's going on right now, in case you're not familiar, in the Battlefield 5 beta, this maybe it could change by the time the game comes out, but I sincerely doubt it, is you cannot type things in chat like DLC or white man. That's right. The words white man are blocked from the chat. And you can't just say as white man. You have to say white man. If you don't say white man, it doesn't count. That's just the way it goes. However, you could still type other things like black man, Asian man, Mexican man, brown man, yellow man, purple man, green man, Superman. So you can't type things like TLC and white man. So if we go into the chat and you see I'll type the letters, I'll do this all caps. DLC, it gets blocked out with asterisks. Even if you try and trick the system and put double spaces between the letters, it blocks it out and the spaces. You can't type DLC in any way, shape, or form. Now, this is very likely to, combat people from talking shit about their past transgressions with excessive DLC in games and charging money for content. And they're just trying to twist the narrative so badly that they want to block people from being able to talk about it. Does this remind you of anyone at all? I don't know, Nazi Germany? The people that are in this game, which apparently aren't even Nazis anymore. They're not allowed to be called Nazis anymore. That's apparently Nazis never happened. It wasn't a thing. It's like, okay, get rid of it. They were the Nazis. It's what they were called in World War II. They were the Nazis. And there's not a swastika to be found in this game because they're just trying to be political, and I just hate it when they try to inject politics into video games. I don't even care about the whole fact that these games have women in them. It didn't really bother me. It's like okay, whatever. They're adding women into the game and stuff like that, and there's reflex sites in the game. And if you don't understand why these things are in the game, then you're too uneducated. That's where it starts to piss me off. When DICE starts to tell, or EA, whoever it is, decides to tell gamers that they don't have a right to be pissed off because they're just quote-unquote uneducated about World War II. No, we're not uneducated. When it comes to women in World War II, they were mostly limited to being nurses. There was also some crews that would operate anti-aircraft weapons, I believe, in England and possibly some other countries. Probably the biggest faction that had female soldiers that could have been in combat were the Russians. They definitely did have some soldiers. And then there was also partisans and things like that. Basically, militias, unofficial militias that could have men, women, children, really whatever. Anyone that wanted to fight for their country and what they believed in, they could be in those things. And that there's no denying that. That's a fact. But I really don't care all that much. There's women in the game, whatever. It doesn't really bother me at the end of the day. It's not going to, affect my enjoyment of the game. But then there's other things that just it's just censorship. Why do you need to feel the need to censor things like DLC or white man? If I type out white man in the chat, it doesn't allow me to do it. But I could type Asian man. I could type black man. Why can I type all of these other men, but not white men? Are you afraid that people are going to be talking about why there aren't enough white men in the game? When there are plenty of black men and black females and all that stuff, you need to just censor everything to try to fit it to your narrative so people aren't talking about it in game and bringing about bad press. I mean, this is not the way to do that. Censorship is not going to prevent that from happening. I feel like at the end of the day, it probably draws more attention to it than what they wanted, what they would have wanted. it's just ridiculous that they feel the need to go ahead and remove this type of stuff from the game, and then when we question about it, they just tell us that we're all uneducated. It's like, no, I'm not uneducated. It's just a simple fact that most of the soldiers in World War II, probably like 98% of the soldiers in World War II, were white men. There was a very small minority that were black men for the Americans. They had specialty troops and things like that, but for the majority, it was white men fighting in that war for the Americans, and probably even more so for the European countries involved in the conflict. Saved your life, sir. So the whole fact that they're removing these, characters from the game, and then people act like, well, if you are a white man and you act like you're, offended by this in any way whatsoever, then you're a racist. You're a racist because you're offended by it. And how is that the case? I mean, when you look at certain things happens in movies and other mediums, when it would maybe be a black character or an Asian character, and then like in a movie or something, they cast a white man in that role. They even have a word for it. It's called whitewashing. It happened in that Great Wall movie with Matt Damon, where he was in the movie, which should have been a primarily Asian movie, and because he was cast as the lead role, they called it whitewashing. So why isn't there blackwashing? It's because it's a double standard. If other people are allowed to be upset about a white man being in a movie for what should have been a black role or an Asian role or Mexican role or whatever, if you're pissed off that there's a white man in that movie instead of whatever race it should be, then why can't we be annoyed when, you're trying to basically rewrite history to fit your fucking SJW narrative? And I really just hate getting political on this stuff, but it's completely absurd to the level that they've taken this. Like, I could have looked past them putting women in the game. I could have looked past that. I, could look past a lot of things, but them censoring the chat, for me, that's just a step too far. It's then, because then it seems so forced. You're no longer trying to just fill a narrative. You're no longer trying to just fill the narrative that you're putting into the game, where that there were female soldiers and things like that, and females can fight in wars too. You're no longer just trying to fill that narrative. Now you're trying to combat the people that are going to be against that narrative, and by blocking the things that they can say so that they can't spread their message, which is going against whatever your message is. Which is, I feel like, never going to work out well for anyone. I don't feel like it's ever worked out well for anyone that has tried to censor, people with a differing opinion. He got knifed. See, that's a Nazi soldier right there. Even though they won't tell me that. But, yeah, as I said, I really don't like getting political. I don't want to be political at all. That's not the purpose of this channel. But when they do stuff like this, it just annoys me so much. So I wanted to kind of bring it to your attention in case you somehow were not aware of it. And see, look, there's what am I reviving? Oh, it's a black man. Can I type in chat that I revived a black man? I'm sure that I can. But if you revive me, he can't say that I revived the white man. You white devils! The white man and the white devils are taking over the floor. Ridiculous, Dice. Just seriously. Stop trying to censor your chat just because people have a differing opinion than you. Because it's going to get out anyway. People are going to talk about it in the media, and then it's going to get blown out of proportion, even more so than if it was just limited to game chat. If people were just talking shit in the game chat, people would have got bored of it. People would have got bored of complaining about the game. People that were so annoyed by the fact that for whatever reason, they didn't like the fact that you put women in the game or too many African-American soldiers. If they were getting so annoyed by that they wouldn't play the game anymore, then they would get bored of it and they would leave. And by you censoring it, I feel like you're just prolonging, how long people are going to be upset about this. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. Please let me know your thoughts, down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video for whatever reason, stick a thumbs up on it below. But I'm sure this will bring about some level of a heated debate because of, the topic and everything involves race. And I am by no means a racist or a sexist in any way whatsoever. I think everyone should get their fair shake. But I don't like people trying to rewrite history, and I especially am against censorship. Censorship, I believe, goes against, freedom. I mean, everyone should have the freedom, no matter if you're American or whoever. People should have the freedom to express themselves in whatever way that they seem fit, as long as it's not hurting someone else physically or enticing someone to bring about violence against another group. And I don't feel like DICE is really handling this whole situation responsibly, and I would like to see it be fixed and addressed, and I think they should also be forced to apologize as well. But I'm going to get out of here. I will see you all tomorrow for another video. Please don't hurt me too much down in the comments because of the topic of this one. Love you guys, and I'll see you then. Bye. Tura, I guess. It's usually how we end these things.